All right, folks, just wanted to drop a super quick micro review of the Jack Stratton mixing masterclass that came out on the Wolf Conservatory just recently. I think it was like a week ago it came out. I bought it maybe 2 days ago and I'm already done with it, which speaks to part of what I'll talk about in this little review. It's fresh in my mind. I just finished it a couple of minutes ago. I watched every second of it, and I took some notes, but I just wanted to distill down what I took away from the course. Did I enjoy it? Who would I recommend it for? Things like that. So overall, I will say it was really neat, especially if you're a big fan of Wolfpack and that sound and sort of like just funk in general. I think you're going to like it and enjoy it, regardless of whether or not you really learn a ton from it. The overall pros, he talks a lot about sort of his mixing inspirations and who he gets inspiration from historically. He gives a bunch of anecdotes about people he's met with, conversations he's had, and he kind of breaks it down into things about milestones that he feels in his mixing journey. So, I used to do this, then I learned this thing, and it was like a breakthrough for me, and he has a couple of breakthroughs that he talks about. I would say the most impactful thing for me was probably the drum mixing approach, seeing just how raw his recordings are in general, both for drums, but kind of for everything. Like a lot of the guitars and stuff were DIs and the bass and whatnot, and how he processes them is like really straightforward. And I really love some of the Wolf mixes a lot. And so seeing him go from, especially with bass, if you are a home studio recorder like myself, and you play bass and you record it, it could be very challenging to get a good bass tone. I've tried all sorts of different plugins. I've tried all sorts of things. One thing I never really tried was taking a DI signal and processing it without any sort of amp. And I feel like there's a lot of fertile ground there in the way that he is approaching that particular aspect. So overall, things that really inspired me. Just the DI stuff was interesting. It gives me a lot of ideas for experiments that I can try, different ways I can sculpt tones. The overall bass tone ideas, I don't want to spoil too much because, it is his content and I'm not trying to tell everybody what his content is, but there's some cool stuff about bass tone in there that, there's some simple takeaways. There's a lot about the drums that were really inspiring, how simple it is. It makes me want to order like 4 SM57s because he's just kind of throwing SM57s on everything. And a lot of the actual stems, when he plays them back just straight, are actually kind of awful. The actual just recording quality is kind of meh. Like if you're a home recorder and you've ever recorded something and you've thought, the recording quality is a little bit meh. That's how a lot of their stuff is. And yet they get this super fat mix at the end of it. So that's really inspiring, I think. It makes a lot of my sort of meh recordings feel a little bit more valid. That said, I think one of the big things he's got going for him is that the people recording them are super tight players. And so, that's something I'm trying to work on myself, is not really worrying about the quality of the DI, the quality of the recording that I'm getting overall, because I know now I kind of have a lot more confidence now that I can make it great. It's about making it a super tight recording, right? Not the overall audio quality being pristine like I'm coming out of a crazy studio somewhere and paying for high quality engineers, but specifically just getting the recording super tight and then making it work no matter what. That's really sort of the pros for me. The cons, not a ton of content. I think this was also a critique of the Joe Dart bass masterclass that came out. Not a ton of content. I think it was 7 videos total. 7 total videos, and I paid $250 for it, $250. That's kind of a lot of money for 7 videos, especially the videos are 45 minutes each, absolute max, and I think on average they're probably less than that, probably about 39 total. One of those 7 videos is just sort of here's my inspirations, and another of those 7 videos is here's an intro to the course. And again, they're fun, they're entertaining. It's nice to sort of, hear straight from Jack's thoughts and all of that, but definitely overvalued, right? For me, the price is definitely a bit weird. Even if I didn't know that there was a discount code for Black Friday, probably should have checked, kind of stupid of me, but even with that discount code, even if you paid $200 for the course, I think you're probably still, the price is off. I'm happy with watching it, I'm happy with what I paid for it. I'm not salty about it or anything like that. But certainly the value is a little bit strange. It's certainly not a one-to-one value kind of thing. That said, if it were me, I would totally kind of buy it again, knowing how I feel about it right now. But the problem is, I feel like there's sort of a content to audience mismatch. If you can picture the people that are willing to pay $200 to $250 for a mixing class, a mixing course lessons, they're looking for, I think, something maybe a little bit more advanced on average, and maybe a little bit more content. So, if you really love Wolfpack, if you really love Jack, you've got the money to spend on it and you're interested, I'd say go ahead and do it. It's a lot of fun, but expect to be maybe underwhelmed in a lot of things, especially, maybe for me, some of the guitar and vocal stuff was a little bit underwhelming, and just the overall lack of content. And I think sort of in reality, this could have been an hour-long video with a list of the plugins that he uses and like some very short examples. I didn't hate the overall format of the course, but I do think it could have been condensed down, a ton, and probably been a lot cheaper. So yeah, that's really it for me. Would I recommend it for most people? Probably not. If you already know quite a bit about mixing, I'd say you're not going to learn a massive amount that's actually going to help you, I think, unless you specifically are kind of new to mixing, or you're looking for some very specific recommendations for the like sort of funk and kind of retro sort of vibe for the mixes. I mean, that's his goal. That's kind of what he's going for. So it makes sense that like a lot of his advice is going to point you in that direction. And if you're looking for recommendations specifically about that style, that's going to be, there's some stuff in there. Of course, it's tips that he literally could have made a 5-minute video that encapsulated all of the tips that you would get from that, if that makes sense. Like, here's a tip, here's an example, here's a tip, here's an example. Could have been a 5-minute video, but it's still presented in a fun and engaging way. So if you're super new to mixing, undoubtedly, if you have the money and you don't care, spend it, watch the course, enjoy it. If you are like kind of weird about the price, save your money. There's going to be better resources out there for free. There's going to be better resources out there paid for the price. So if money is an issue, then absolutely, I'd say look elsewhere. So yeah, that's it. Again, overall for me, big pros. Just hearing his anecdotes, talking about his experience in the industry, talking with people, talking about sort of some legendary mix engineers, that was really cool. Just being involved with the actual Wolf mixes and all the stuff that he goes through that kind of is in the Wolf realm, that's really fun, especially as a Wolfpack fan. The drums especially were inspiring because the tone is just insane from like these shitty little simple SM57 recordings. Kind of makes me want to get a DW kit and just throw an SM57 on it or two and just have a good time with drums. But I'd say for the most part, that's kind of where the benefits end. And like I said, it only took me about a day to watch. It's not a ton of content, and I think definitely a little bit overpriced. And I feel like the people that are going to pay that amount of money for it and come out like really pleased with the amount that they learned and the overall content is probably a very slim portion of people, because the people that are willing to pay this much for content like this are probably already a little bit more advanced than what the people that are going to be able to make the most out of this content. But he really is distilling 10 years of experience down into a fun and engaging format. So I love Jack. I love Wolfpack. I really enjoyed watching it, and I would not go back and save the money. But I think there are probably a lot of people who would feel differently if they bought the course and then got into it. So that's my take. Hopefully it helps you, and good luck.